Hey up lads and lasses, Damfire here, back again with some more GR2 content for you today. We've got some interesting ones today. We've got a new update and it's included some balance changes. So we'll have a quick look and we'll go in and I'll show you the differences. So we have Etheric Lasers is in the prop up as opposed to Gorse. Etherics being not bad weapons, especially if we look down here. We got device improvements. Etheric Laser Guns, 10% more damage. HU Missiles, 25% more damage. Cluster Missiles, 20% more damage. And Cruise Missiles, plus 10% more damage. These are pretty nice buffs, and these were roughly in line with what I sort of gathered. And when I did my what I'd like to see in the game and balance changes that I'd like to see. These are roughly in line with what I recommended and suggested. I also sent a message to the devs recommending these as well. Yeah, I would have liked to see 20% on the Etherics, but after maybe some testing and stuff, we'll see how they fare. HE Missiles having 25% massive, that's going to be really, really good, and 20% for cluster is going to be really good as well. Unfortunately, this does not does not resolve the issue that they have limited amounts of ammo. This means it's still not going to be particularly good in Wolf, but for other parts of the game, tactical, PvP, the missions and exploration, missiles are definitely going to be up there and going to be considerably better to be using, to the point where I think they are almost on par with projectiles. I'll have some more testing done. I'll be building a fog with missiles on it, so you might see a new fog build video to go for when you're a newer player, especially because fog's very, very easy to get, very easy to max out the reforms. So yeah. So let's jump into it and let's go have a butchers at these balance changes. But yeah, definitely impressed, and this is a step in the right direction from the devs. This is what us as the players wanted to see. We wanted to see some new balances and some new balance changes happening, trying to get some more weapons on par with projectiles. So we have the option to use different ships other than just using monsters because they're broken. I still think monsters are going to be broken, and they're still probably going to be best in slot, but this gives you the adaptability to use some other weapons if you feel that want and need to. And with missiles having longer range than projectiles, it might balance out, but we'll get onto another issue I have with that at the moment, and I'll show that in this video as well. But again, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Helps me out, helps the channel out. Also, don't forget to drop into Discord. We've got 112 people on there now. It's very active, daily people messaging people and chatting and stuff like that. For GR2, a lot of information on there as well, and you can get help from some of the top players in the game. And it's just a nice place to come hang out and find other games to play with other people. We've got other games in there. I've been playing a bit of Total War Warhammer 2, and a few other games with some other people that have come in and dropped in. But yeah, let's get into it. So we go to archives. We're going to check the device list because I don't have any of these weapons at all. So yeah, unfortunately. But we'll have a look at gold because we can. There's a gold variant of all of these. If you're thinking of purple, just remember it's about 15% damage difference between gold and purple, and 15% again between purple and blue, or 30% between blue and gold. So, first up, we're going to be looking at the Heavy Cluster Missile. So previously, this will be up on screen for you to see here as well. I'll have it next to here so you can see both the differences, and this is at tier 1, so this isn't respective of how well it will do endgame when it's completely maxed out. This is just a T3 level 1 weapon, but we can at least see the damage differences being applied here. So the old one is thermal damage is 908 to 1229, and a kinetic energy damage of 2121 to 2869. That's roughly about just over 3,000 damage to 4,000 damage, more or less. before patch. After patch, we're looking at 1,019 damage to 1,379 thermal, with a kinetic damage of 2,378 to 3,217. This is looking at just over 3,300 damage, minimum damage, to total maximum damage of 4,500. That's quite a big damage leap. This brings it up to par with projectiles. Cooling time still sucks, but you know, it's missiles, they have that. But they do have the massive increase in range over projectiles. If you can utilize the maximum range on these, monsters may struggle to catch you. So there is a potential here that missiles in a fleet that's well balanced and it emphasizes itself on staying at range and a lot of good micro, you could potentially kite monsters around and they'll never be able to do anything except die. So yeah, missiles having that range going to be really useful. The damage boost brings them up into position where it looks like they should be on par with some of the other projectile ships in the game. Heavy cluster missiles is our first one. Next up, we are looking at the heavy HE missiles. These got the biggest boost of 25%. Previous was only a 20%. So, heavy HE missiles, these got a boost of 25%, like I just said. So, they used to have 2,965 damage to 4,012. We are now looking at 3,500 minimum damage to 4,800 maximum. This is a massive boost in damage here. These could be very viable. And to top it off, I mean, they cause fire as well, so you're getting enough of these to keep fire level 3 debuff on your enemy. Will have a dot of 2,000 damage per tick at 10 stack. So yeah, loads of potential damage here. I actually think heavy HE missiles are very, very strong now, especially, you know, the hitting at 550 range as well. One of the shorter missile types, but that's great damage, including the dot. So yeah, definitely, these are what I'm going to be trying to go for. On my fog, I think this is where I think the missiles are. I think it's heavy HE because of the extra fire damage from the dot. Next up, we have the heavy cruise missile. These only got a 10% damage buff, but we'll have a look at them anyway. So previously they were a little over 4,000 minimum damage to 6,800 maximum damage, almost 6,900 maximum damage there. This was dealt if you were at maximum range. The further the distance, the higher the target. So at 850 range, you could be hitting these kind of damages. I'm not sure if this is affected by reforms, by the way. For example, the fog is an extra 135 range. If that increases this maximum total damage, or it just gives you anything over 850 and you have the leeway to be within 850 and 985 range, and you will still always be hitting your maximum within that range. Again, very, very powerful now. These could be very, very good on, a long-range fleet, kiting around enemy ships, keeping out of their damage ranges, and just smashing them from afar. Again, the only problem, though, open time's 9. I believe it's 8 on cluster. It's 9 on cluster and 8 on HE. So they have lower, they can only fire 8 times or 9 times, which isn't a lot. You will run out of missiles. Do not use missile boats and wolf still. They will fall short and run out of missiles and be sitting ducks doing nothing. Last but not least, we have the Etheric Laser Gun. This is also in the prob up. So previously this was 2,700 EM damage. It's now doing 3,000 base damage, which is quite nice. It's not bad. I feel like open times 999. I can understand on lasers, but I can't understand on projectiles having 999 shots. You're carrying giant rounds of ammunition. You know, you can't fit all of them on your spaceship. Lasers using energy makes more sense. Anyway, 3,000 damage to an extra 300 damage here. This brings them up to par, I believe, with Purple XNT. Yeah, Purple XNT. So gold Etherics on par with Purple XNT, it's not enough. These need another 10% damage, in my opinion, bringing them up to 3,300. At that point, they would be 3,000, so on par with XNT, and then you have the choice of going for blind as your extra thing on lasers, or energy drain with the XNTs. So you can mix and match a little bit maybe as well for a bit of blind, a bit of energy drain. But yeah, definitely a step in the right direction. It's nice seeing these updates where we're getting balance changes now to the weapons and making more weapons and more ships more viable. Over to one of the issues that I mentioned earlier. So I have been building a fog up. It has got a couple of missiles on it. As you can see, we've got some HEs on here. Going to be nice with the extra buff, some extra damage on here as well, obviously. But, oh, and it has got two subsystems next to each other. So this could potentially be sort of on par with a monster in theory, because you can get the double bonus onto missile systems. Either way, there is an inherent problem with missiles, and this is max freeform, so it's got the extra 135 range. HEs are hitting at 550, but it's got this ability, which has just disappeared because it's got into range of this. On its warship features, it has, if it stays at 400 range from its target, it'll have increased damage. 400 range, bear this in mind. These missiles shoot to 550, but you're going around the ship at just over 300. Each one of these squares is 100. We can test this out quite easily, so we bring the ship from 1, 2, 3, 4 squares, so over this line, we'll see this buff come back. There's the buff. So why this ship doesn't sit out of this range that it's got 550, let alone the fact that it's actually got, with the buff, 685. So I can bring this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I can bring this ship all the way back here, and it'll still be firing. I want missiles to be really good because I love the way they look. I love these missiles just like flying in from different angles. So if we park up over here, did I calculate that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, I did not. That's 7. I've gone a little bit too far there. So we come back in here, we should start seeing the ship firing again, unless it's out of missiles. No, there we go. So it's even on wing now, right? This should be able to orbit at this kind of range, keeping this distance, not having to move forward and getting into 400 odd range and losing this damage buff. This damage buff's actually quite large. See, it should be staying within that sort of end of its range to be effective here. This is what I was mentioning earlier. If you're good at microing and keeping your ships out of the way of the enemy and keeping them at range, this could be very strong. In an auto battle, missiles are going to struggle a little bit, which is a bit of a shame. Anyway, guys, I'll be chucking this over to the devs, so hopefully you can watch this fog video as well and fix that for us. But yeah, missiles, really big boosts of damage. It's going to be really good for missile users, to the point where I'm potentially going to be using missiles myself. And yeah, have a good one, guys, and I'll catch you next time.